Welcome to section 9, kinks and fantasies. In this section, we will discover and we will be discussing how to learn how to master your sexuality to enjoy better sexual experiences, understand how to communicate with your fantasies with your partner, and learn the difference between porn watching and porn addiction. Are you normal if you have fantasies? A lot of people ask. Quick answer to this one is yes. You are completely normal, guys. It is so normal to have kinks and fantasies and to think about things in a different way. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. The main thing is that you want to discover who you are and what you like. And also, as long as it is safe, sane, legal, and consensual, you are good to go. There's going to be plenty of people out there who match your kink and also have the same fantasies as you. So, you don't have to be ashamed of it. I know we live in a culture where it can be very shaming, and when you have certain kinks and certain fantasies, it can be hard to admit and to be open about it. So, open up to yourself about it as well. I encourage you to do this throughout the program. So, I encourage you guys to really dive in and really explore who you are and what you like if you have any kinks and fantasies. Remember, the more that you know yourself, the more that you know what you are going to allow into your life and what you're not when it comes to your woman and your kinks and your fantasies. If you are a man that is more into the kink lifestyle, then I encourage you to research and explore it. Remember, research, research, research. Find out why and find out what kind of communities there are out there to support you. There are plenty of kink if you're more dominant, if you're more submissive and you're looking for a dominatrix possibly. These are all completely open things that you can find and you can discover. And you can find things in your area. Perhaps you're more of a dominant and you really need to control things and you really need to feel in control in the bedroom. Maybe you are more of a submissive where you need to feel out of control. You need to let go of control, possibly in the bedroom. Kinks can go beyond taping your woman up or playing with blindfolds, but this is also a part of kink, and that's why exploring kinks of various levels will be good for you if this is something you have questions about. Research some things, and you can also dabble in the bonuses we have here in my yes, no, maybe list, because there's a lot of kink there, things in there as well. Typically, and you can also do that with your partner. Typically, when you're experimenting or do kink, you want to make sure that it's a safe place and both parties want to be there and be safe. Also, make sure that both of you have a safe word. So if you are not comfortable or the other partner is not comfortable, they can say the safe word, no questions asked. As long as both parties are in agreement on everything that you guys are bringing to the table and everything that you're doing and know her limits and your limits, and she knows yours as well, this is where a safe place happens and a safe word is involved. Now, if you are in a relationship and you haven't come out about this, remember your partner is not a mind reader, guys. So if you want to talk about it with someone that you are dating as well, or a marriage, or in a relationship, I want to give you some tips. Here's how you're going to tell her. So the problem is you're not probably sure what your partner is into at this point, or you're worried that your partner may be judging you, right? Or how to approach it. So here's how to approach it. What you're going to do is you're going to give an explanation to what your kink is. Typically, like you're going to show why you're curious or why it's important to explore to you. This can be extremely helpful to getting your partner on board. First, coming from why it's important to you, or to try one at least. But if she is still uncomfortable after your explanation and doesn't want to try, then that's okay too. What you don't want to do is insert your kink out of some ultimatum. For example, if you don't let me suck your feet, I won't go down on you forever, right? Or clearly, you don't love me if you don't let me suck on your toes or let me pee on you, right? This is emotional blackmail and it is not fair to your partner. So, what you also want to do is be open and honest about your curiosity before you even get naked with your partner. Your kink should absolutely be disclosed and discussed before any sexual activities, sexual, mental, emotional foreplay. You want to create boundaries and you want to create guardrails really together with your exploration. You don't wanna surprise someone with your kink all of a sudden right in the middle of the sex. That is the worst thing you can do in the heat of passion. Power dynamics, and you wanna make sure, you have consent. And she might feel pressure to comply in those moments if you try to negate and manipulate her in when you are being intimate in those moments. So that's not the time where you just push a kink onto your partner or the woman that you're having sex with. So, part of this is the natural rhythm of sex exploration when you are together. But there is a huge difference between discovering parts of each other's body and initiating halfway through, maybe inserting a dildo in her or something like that, or ball gags or handcuffs. You don't want to do something so abrupt when you're with a partner and you guys have not talked about this outside of the bedroom. This is absolutely no, guys. This is like the worst thing that you can do when it comes to kinks, and this is sometimes where a lot of people go wrong in showing their kinks, is they actually take them out in the middle of the heated moment. And what will happen, especially if you deal with a woman with low self-esteem or wanting to please you or really loves you, she's really just going to do it in the moment, but then she's going to regret it afterwards because it wasn't safe, sane, and consensual. Consensual meaning you didn't talk about it, right? So you do want to consider the possibility of exploring your kink also, too, if you need to, outside of your relationship, if she's okay with that. Of course, you have to talk about this. Perhaps by opening up the kink conversation, you will discover each of you explore kinks in your own way outside of this relationship. And that's okay, too, if this is something that is up your alley. Of course, this is not up a lot of people's alley, but some they are. Lots of couples are both open. They go to kink parties, they explore their sexuality together. They might go to outside sexual partners. They have exploring kink parties out there, but they also know the priority of their relationship. So there comes a great amount of trust and communication with this. But remember, you don't want to shame her for not wanting to try your kink if she is not open to this, guys. Just as you shouldn't kink shame other partners. So if your buddy is into kink, you can't shame him for it. We should never be shaming someone's preference, right? Just because someone doesn't have a kink doesn't mean that they have a vanilla sex life. No, they might have the most best sex life with their partner even if they're not into kink. It's really understanding that this is your own discretion. Everyone is different, and it's totally normal that this person maybe that you love or you adore, you want to be in a relationship or spend your rest of your life with, may not 100% align with your sexual needs 100% of the time. We all grow, we all change, we're all sexual beings in different ways and different rates and different everything. So I also encourage you to make sure that it's coming from a healthy place, guys. Make sure that this is not coming from unresolved childhood trauma or any type of emotional baggage that you're bringing into the bedroom. If you have any childhood or emotional trauma, and you might be escaping in this. So please get that support. A lot of times we reenact in the bedroom what we were lacking in childhood, and we're trying to get our needs met in that bedroom. So if you're dealing with kink and you're dealing with fantasies, then I encourage you guys to make sure that you are mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically healthy. Make sure you've resolved your issues from your past. So if you guys have found that you're in a loop of patterns and there's some shame surrounding sex, I want you to take a pause and step back and actually look at this. So, there are things for addictions. If you find in yourself that you're constantly with new partners all the time, you're constantly dabbling in multiple sex partners, you're constantly getting in and out of relationships, and you're constantly feeling like there's a rush of new relationships and the sex is amazing, you might be dealing with sex or love addiction in this. So if you're constantly um, on the highs of sex and then the dropping really low and you're not feeling good and you just escape in sex and the next sex partner and the next sex partner, and you're using this kind of escape to not feel whatever you're trying to feel or to feel better about yourself, then this is your job is to seek outside help because it's not going to be manageable. And you're trying to make someone else make you feel better and you're just using sex to validate you. Then this can become addiction. Talk to someone to find out and get outside help. If this rings a bell to you guys, please get that support because you deserve more. So let's talk about porn addiction. You might even find a partner who loves watching porn just as much as you, and you know how to have a healthy balance. Let me stop here right quick. You know, there's going to be an established emotional and physical and connection with you guys, right? You're going to communicate. A healthy porn watching is when it doesn't take over your life. This is something maybe you do with your partner. This is something that you really do on your time every once in a while just to get better at little things and maybe curious. But you don't serve as an addiction to get turned on, right? So when you establish communication and you use the three keys effective in effective communication and in emotional escalation, she's going to become more comfortable because majority of women will watch porn with a man that wants to do it every once in a while to spice up the love life. And she will watch it with you. The problem happens when and if you are in the rest of your life becoming if it's becoming unmanageable basically around you. So if you're starting to watch porn but you don't want to and you're not being able to fight your behaviors or you're fighting your impulses and you're doing it again and then there's so much shame around it, then we might be dealing with an addiction. Also, if you think porn is real, I hate to burst your bubble or pop your cherry, I should say, because of the point of this program, but no. Porn is not real, guys. The vagina is not even turned on in porn. The clitoris is not even having a blood flow at this point because a woman is not turned on typically in porn. So, this is what's happening in the bedroom all the time. You would think that, oh, the porn has to happen in the bedroom, and this is an addiction. Typically, addictions are happening when there's emotional trauma, and that happens when we're seeking something on the outside to make us feel better on the inside. So, we are using something as medication. We're using the porn to quiet the voices in our head. We're using alcohol or drugs to quiet the voices in our head. We're using people to quiet the voices in our head or to make us feel better about ourselves temporarily. And then afterwards, there's shame that happens. This is when you know there's an addiction. There's guilt that's happening. This is when you know there's addiction. There's unfulfillment. There's a feeling of unfulfillment that's happening. So if you're dealing with addictions, there is help out there. I would really strongly encourage you to look into 12-step programs or into a therapist that deals especially with these type of addictions. There's nothing wrong with you. There is nothing wrong with reaching out and asking for help because guess what? You can get this under control. You can look at what's going on and you can start to find that happiness from the inside of you and start to work on those things and start exuding happiness and self love and self confidence because you have the power to do that, guys. I want you to remember that. I hope this empowers you in this section. Now we're going to get into section 10, the do's and the don'ts.